Let me tell you, 5-ingredient dinners are simply the best dinners that you can make during those crazy busy weeks when your plate is just full and you don't have a lot of time to make dinner in the evening. So today I'll be sharing 5 new 5-ingredient dinners with you that you will love. These dinners are easy to throw together and they are total time savers, so you don't feel like you have to stop through the drive-through line in the evening. Let's go get to my kitchen and let's get to cooking. To start us off today, we are making this tortellini soup, and this one is for all of my meatless meal friends. To a large pot on the stove, add in 8 cups of vegetable broth. After you add that in, add in 12 ounces of frozen peas and carrots, or you could really use any different type of veggies that you like. Next, add in 10 ounces of frozen cheese tortellini. If you don't cook with tortellini much, or you don't really know what it is, it's kind of like pasta wrapped in cheese. It's like a cheesy mixture. It's really good. But next, for the seasonings, I'm adding in a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, then 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Give this a stir. Let it simmer on your stove for about 5 to 10 minutes or until that tortellini is tender. Once you have your tortellini tender, this next step is optional, but you can add in a half a cup of heavy cream to make it kind of like creamy, or you could add in half and half, or don't add in any cream at all. Let this simmer for about 2 minutes on the stove, then you can serve it up. We topped ours with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. This meatless meal is absolutely delicious. You will not be missing the meat at all. It is super duper scrumptious and absolutely perfect for this time of the year. We love it. Now we're making this hamburger rice casserole skillet. So to a pan on the stove, add in between a half to a pound of ground beef. If you're trying to cut back on your groceries, I do recommend using a little bit less meat in your recipes. That way it will really help you save money. And then when there's like rice and other ingredients in the dish, you're really not going to be missing the meat. So today I just added in a half a pound of ground beef. I cooked that ground beef through. Now I'm removing any excess grease from my pan. I'm just wiggling a paper towel around in there until it's mostly gone. Next, add in a half a cup of water. After you add your water in, add in a half a cup of uncooked rice. You could use white or jasmine. For the seasonings, add in a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of pepper, then a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of paprika, and then a half a teaspoon of oregano. This is going to be really flavorful. Next, add in a 10-ounce can of cream of mushroom soup, or if you have my cookbook, open up to the back pages in the substitutions area and you'll find homemade cream of soups recipes and like homemade taco seasonings, and you could use that homemade cream of mushroom soup if you want to make your own. But I do have some cookbooks in stock right now if you don't have one or you want to get one for the holidays. Next, I'm going to add in a 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes. I'm using the petite diced tomatoes. Those are my favorite over like regular diced tomatoes just because they're quite a bit smaller and easier to eat. Give this a stir and you're going to cover it with a lid. Let this simmer covered for about 15 to 20 minutes. And while it is simmering covered, if you do notice the liquid line gets too low and the rice isn't cooking very well, go ahead and add in a little bit more water until the rice is tender. But once you do have your rice tender, this is optional. But if you know me or you know you've watched any of my other videos, you might know by now that I just love cheese. So I'm adding in 3/4 cup of shredded cheddar cheese, but you could use like Colby Jack cheese, you could use pepper jack cheese, or no cheese at all. Once that cheese is nice and melty, once your rice is tender, you could serve this easy dinner up. And you know, if you've been here for a while, you might have guessed it, I topped mine with a little bit more cheese. I also topped it with some black pepper and fresh parsley just to make it look pretty. But this is adult friendly and little one friendly. My little ones absolutely love this meal. Also, it reheats wonderfully from frozen and from the fridge. Now we're making this baked Parmesan chicken. So I have 2 chicken breasts right here. I'm slicing them in half horizontally just like this to make the chicken thinner. This is going to make the chicken extra flavorful. It's also going to help it cook quicker and then kind of be more pieces of chicken. Now I'm going to get started on the Parmesan mixture. It's a 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese and 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. You just have to trust me. Give it a really super duper good stir until it looks something like this. Now I have a baking dish and I'm going to add my chicken right into the baking dish. Just add them in side by side. Then you're going to sprinkle the top of the chicken with a dash of salt and pepper. You could add other seasonings if you'd like, but this is super flavorful just with the salt and pepper. Now sprinkle that Parmesan mixture over the top of the chicken. I used grated Parmesan cheese, or you could use shredded Parmesan cheese if you'd like. Now over the top, sprinkle 3 tablespoons of Italian style breadcrumbs, or you could use Panko breadcrumbs for like a little extra crisp. Bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes, or until that chicken's cooked through. I do get questions about side dishes and what to like pair things with. Today I'm just using this creamy kind of like a Knorr pasta sides. I'm just serving it alongside of the chicken. It cooks together in minutes and it really is simple. I love these like simple side dish packets, but once your pasta is tender and then once the chicken's cooked through, you could serve it up. Here's what this simple dinner looks like on this night. I cut the chicken into smaller pieces for my little ones and they dipped it in ketchup, but I served the chicken with that pasta side dish, and then I also steamed up kind of like a microwave bag of mixed vegetables, and this dinner was so easy to throw together. Now we're making this tater tot casserole with my favorite garlic Parmesan green beans. So to get it started, to a pot on the stove, I'm adding in a half a pound of ground beef just to cut back on grocery costs. But if you want to add in a pound of ground beef, you certainly can. And if you don't want to use ground beef, you could use ground chicken, ground turkey, or really any ground anything that you like. But once the ground beef was cooked through, I just removed any excess grease from my pot. I'm just wiggling a paper towel around in there. My mom taught me this trick. But now to the same pot the ground beef was cooked in, add in a 10-ounce can of cream of mushroom soup, or any cream of soup will work. Then a half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, and paprika. Give this a good stir. Now that this is well combined, I brought it over to my baking dish and I'm spraying my baking dish with nonstick spray. Add it right into your baking dish and spread that ground beef mixture out. Now over the top, you're going to place tater tots. You could use any type of tater tots you like, just place them side by side. Over the top of the tater tots, I'm sprinkling 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. This will bake in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 30 to 40 minutes. Now I'm getting started on those yummy garlic Parmesan green beans. I have a pound of trimmed, cleaned green beans into this bowl. Then I added 2 tablespoons of olive oil, followed by 2 tablespoons of minced garlic and 1/3 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. Next, I'm adding in 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Give this a really good stir, kind of mix it all around to get that garlic all over those green beans. Now you're going to want to line a sheet pan or a baking dish with aluminum foil. The foil will help get those green beans extra crispy. Bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 30 minutes after you place the green beans on your sheet pan. I actually placed the green beans right next to the casserole in the oven and they baked together for like a similar amount of time. It was great. Here's what this night's dinner looks like. That tater tot casserole is comfort food to the max. I make tater tot casserole like once a year. I don't make it super often, but whenever I do, everybody just gobbles it up. And those green beans are like the best, easiest green beans. So if you're looking for a good green bean recipe, absolutely you need to try it. Now we're getting started on these ground beef enchiladas, and my husband could eat the whole pan. They really are that good. To this pan on my stove, I added in a pound of ground beef, or you could use any type of ground meat or any meat substitute that you would like. Cook that ground beef through, then add in a half a cup of shredded cheddar cheese, then a half a cup of red enchilada sauce. We're using 20 ounces of red enchilada sauce total, but then add in for the seasonings a half a teaspoon of onion powder, garlic powder, and chili powder. Give this a really good stir. Once that cheese is melty, just go ahead and take it off of the heat. Now over to this plate, we are going to heat up our corn tortillas. So add a damp paper towel onto the plate, then you're going to add the corn tortillas and wrap the corn tortillas in the paper towel. Microwave it for about 2 minutes, and this is going to help the corn tortillas so they don't break into 100 different pieces while you're trying to roll them up for the enchiladas. I have a 9x13 baking dish right here. I sprayed with nonstick spray. Now add in the remaining enchilada sauce from that one 10-ounce can. Just pour it to the bottom of the baking dish. Now fill those corn tortillas with that ground beef mixture. You want to be careful. Don't overfill your corn tortillas, just fill them just so they're able to roll. Now over the top of the enchiladas, I'm pouring my second 10-ounce can of red enchilada sauce. I'm brushing the enchilada sauce over the tortillas just so the tortillas are coated. Then I'm sprinkling a cup of shredded cheddar cheese over the top of the enchiladas. This baked in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. And my little ones were getting into a little bit of trouble on that night, and I totally forgot the enchiladas in the oven. So they baked closer to like 35 minutes, which it was okay. The cheese just got a little crispy, and so did the tortillas. But I also topped this with pinto bean, sour cream, and avocado. This is such a delicious, easy dinner. We loved it, even though I left it in the oven longer than I should. You don't want to miss the next video like this, so make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you there. Bye for now.